Welcome to Tube Talk, where I'll be interviewing either virtually or in person content creators in the hope to learn more about the people that we subscribe to and we follow on YouTube. So my next couple come from the southwest of Western Australia. They've established a lucrative new fishing competition here in WA, and they've also established a website to raise money for breast cancer. All after a life-changing experience in 2019, which inspired them to become nomads at 40 years of age. Meet Jed Kelly from Old Mate Adventures. Hey.
Hey,
Kelly.
Hello.
how you going?
Kelly and Jed, good morning and welcome to Tube Talk.
Yeah, how you going, mate?
Money.
Finally,
Yeah.
the moon's aligned.
Yeah. Understand. That's life though, right? Life gets in the way.
Yeah. It's hard to sort of govern sort of where we're going to be and if we're going to have reception and then what the weather's going to be like and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But
So
it worked out.
thanks so much for giving me some of your time. So right off the bat, where are you guys as we speak today? Where have you been the last couple of weeks? And what's the next month look like? Where are you guys off to next?
Yeah, we're at the front of my parents' place actually at the moment.
That's where the van's parked up. So
We've got the caravan out the front. Yeah, they're just in the southwest near just sort of 20 k's out of Bunbury. And yeah, last couple of weeks, we've been down Albany Way near Shane's Beach, or Shane's Beach, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And we tried to find some salmon down there, but it was terrible weather. So and no one was really catching anything. So yeah, we went to Walpole for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And just we actually got some good weather for a change. And then sort of cranked around Walpole with the boat and the tinny, did a bit of fishing, and then and then we just spent the weekend down near Windy Harbour, just beach fishing down there. So yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, we had we started the herring fishing world championship.
Did you start that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. We had like 11 people enter. But hopefully we'll do it sort of every year, sort of thing, and just something for fun, So that was pretty good. And then next month.
The next month we're here for Easter with family and that, and then we start our trek north. So we're back to our jobs in Port Hedland towards the end of May. So we've got stops all along the coast again on the way up, some of our favourite spots between sort of here and Hedland, just to chill for a little bit, and then into 3 months of work up there and cash up again and see if we can afford to live for the next year.
So I did watch a bit of I saw something on social media about the herring competition and some dude with a trophy.
My dad.
Oh, that's your dad.
Yeah. So my dad won, which was pretty awesome. He was stoked.
By default,
because he was the only person who caught a herring all weekend. But yeah, he was stoked. And look, honestly, like between him and my mum, they probably spent the most time fishing out of anyone, so they kind of deserved one of them to win, which was pretty good. So he took home the whole cash pot himself. He was pretty stoked.
The whole pot. So what did the pot consist of?
It's just $10 entry,
$10
and then winner takes all, like for the heaviest herring. So
yeah.
So there was heaps of salmon there. We'd been chasing the salmon for like the last 2 weeks, found none. Yeah. And then got to it's Marlamutt Beach, it's called. It's just north of Windy Harbour.
Right.
And we had a beautiful weekend. It was magic. It was like a little bit overcast, but no wind pretty much. And the salmon were there, so we caught heaps of salmon. But the herring weren't there. Sometimes it's 50-50 there. Like sometimes you just can't get away from the herring. There's just millions of them. Yeah. And this time there was almost none. So anyway, Ronnie got a couple, which is good. And and we at one point we were a bit like, oh, we've got this. I'd made this trophy and everything. And I was like, no one's catching any herring.
We can get. I think it was Saturday afternoon before he got it. Yeah. So we'd been there for like 24 hours before anyone had even caught one. So. Yeah.
We got there in the end.
Look forward to seeing the episode where all the salmon are caught, because they're
really good.
They're a heck of a lot of fun to catch. Not so good to eat, but they're a heck of a lot of fun to catch.
We just catch a couple of the old fellas. They keep them for like fish cakes and whatever, and they make all sorts of bits of curries and whatever. But we just catch and release most of them. But so it's not too bad.
So guys, So when I reached out to you guys, so I stumbled across your channel. I'm going to say about August, September last year. And I found you guys really interesting, and more so the name Old Mate. It's a bit of a it's a bit of a phrase, right? That people.
Yeah.
So I had to pick something up from a shop yesterday, and the guy that I picked it up from said, "Oh, you got to pay Old Mate now." And it was a 25-year-old young lady behind reception, and she looked at it and she goes, "Like Old Mate?" Anyway. So when I reached out to you, it was on the back of, I guess, me getting the courage to pull the trigger on this idea of mine after myself.
Awesome.
After myself and my wife, meeting a group of people up at Coral Bay 2 or 3 years ago now. And I just remember walking back to our campsite going, geez, if you could bottle that conversation,
that's it. Yeah.
And then relate, because we all meet amazing people. And I guess with my newfound hobby of what I'm doing now and also creating content, I've gravitated towards YouTube, and you come across people like you guys, and it takes me back to that barbecue that we had, at the Coral Bay Caravan Park. So now, it's with full disclosure, I've got a couple of questions here because my memory is not so flash, and I guess we don't have to stick to it. And the idea is conversations will go over the place, just as if we were at a barbecue, and we
sure,
having a chat over a beer. But again, straight off the bat to get the conversation going. So I've done a little bit of research on your journey, but maybe you can put in your own words. Can you maybe step me through or step us through?
So when we sort of started traveling or started YouTubing, or
no, maybe started traveling as, I guess you call yourself nomads. What was the turning point? Or I don't know, Kelly, did you roll over one morning and poke him in the ribs, or Jed, did you sort of say let's
she does that every morning.
There's more to
life.
life.
Breakfast.
And don't make the bed, and we'll touch it. I want to raise that. No. That's very funny.
That's not my job. That's not my job.
So, man, I cop it for that one.
Can you recall?
I mean, it's something that we'd been wanting to do for ages and knew we were going to do again. We went overseas in 2008 and spent 18 months in Canada, at the encouragement of some friends who'd just spent a winter over there, and we thought, oh, bugger it, why do 9 to 5 when we can go to Canada and see? We'd never seen snow before, and we thought, why not? So we spent 18 months over there, and that really got us
fired up. Yeah,
we just wanted to see other stuff and do other things.
We were in our late 20s by then.
You were in your late. I was mid.
And then there's this sort of thing. Well, gee, that was the first sort of proper traveling we'd done, and I was nearly 30, and you just sort of thinking, oh, geez, we better start cracking. There's so much to see and do, and then.
And at that point, we'd still sort of thought we might want a family one day, so we're sort of thinking we needed to get out and do that, and. So then we got home and sort of was already, what do we do next? What do we do next? And bought a little caravan, little $1,000 caravan off some friends' grandparents that have been sitting on their farm for ages, an old 77 Cabana, and decided we were going to do a lap around Australia and
in an old Land Rover,
in an old Landy and our old caravan. So we took off and we got as far as Queensland and then got offered jobs on a cattle station out there. So we spent 5 months out there doing that, and then completed our lap to come home, and then sort of at that point decided we didn't really want to have kids. We were happy traveling and doing, what we were doing. So we thought, we'll knuckle down, work for a bit, and sort of plan to head off again. And
in between that, we worked in Japan for a bit, for a few months, helping a friend out. So
we'd sort of
it was awesome.
Done all that. And then, so once we were home, we got a dog. I'd always wanted to have our own dog. So we bought a house that had a big enough yard to have a dog. So we that was our thing, is we'll knuckle down, we'll get ourselves, sorted, we'll get a van, and we'll do all that over these years while we've got her. And then when she's gone, we'll head off and travel again. And so that was sort of what we were always aiming for. It wasn't like a wake up one day, let's do this. It was just let's work towards this, because it's what we wanted to do.
So it's about 2009, 2010. Are we talking now?
2010 we got back from Canada. 2010 2012 was our lap around Australia. So we got married April 2011. And then we headed off. So our lap around Australia was our honeymoon sort of thing. We thought we'll take a year off and we'll go do that. And so then that was all of 2012. And then 2013 we came back and we worked until we left in September of 2021.
So September,
pretty much.
So September 2021 is when you become official nomads?
Quit our jobs.
Quit the jobs.
Sold everything. We have a sea container at a mate's place with probably it's just a few no furniture. It's just bits and bobs and spare
much crap that we need to get rid of.
Heaps of crap in there. But every time I go in there, I still get rid of more stuff and offload all my tools at my old man's. And but yeah, it's we've got virtually no possessions now other than the Caravan and the D-Max and a tinny. So yeah, that was probably the best sort of mental thing out of the whole thing, was just getting rid of stuff. You you realize how much stuff you've got and
how much you don't need,
and you just don't need. And I think that's the greatest thing now, is that when we come back and visit people, we can just hook up like our whole life virtually and just move it around wherever we need it to go, and we've got everything we need right here. But yeah, that's probably the best thing.
So I use this word stumbled. I also recently stumbled across a blog, and excuse me while I look down, but the blog was written by a company or a platform called Money Flamingo. And was that blog done on you guys a couple of years ago, or about 18 months ago?
No, that was late last year. That was Tina.
October, November last year.
Something like that. We've been going backwards and forths with Tina, who runs the whole blog platform, and she's based over east. But yeah, like Money Flamingo is like, have you heard of the acronym, like the FIRE movement? Sounds a bit like a cult, but so FIRE is like, I think originated from like over in America, but like it's like stands for financially independent, retire early. And so it's for like, I guess it's probably a generation behind behind us, but it's like a younger crew realizing that you don't really need to work up to your 65, 70, retire, get your pension or whatever, and then start enjoying life, like nomading or whatever, when you're like grey and old and whatever. So it's more of a and there's different like parts of it all. Little did I know, like a mate got me onto it years ago when we were already pretty much doing that anyway, but it's more of a talked about that there's podcasts. I think there's the Aussie Firebug is like a pretty, he's a young fella in his early 30s, I think now, but he's already like financially sort of set up and to semi-retire already. And there's a couple of books and there's some great literature out there now to sort of get people on the right path. But it's, Money Flamingo is sort of like a semi-retirement style thing. So it's more of a
probably more like what we're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly what we're doing, but maybe sometimes without
even a little bit different.
Without the traveling side of things. But it's more that people get themselves in a situation where you get your ducks in a row financially, you don't have big overheads, and you can not have to work Monday to Friday, 5 days a week sort of thing. So you can sort of live life on your own terms sort of thing. Like if I want to go part-time and that sort of thing. So it sort of focuses on the financial side of things. Is a fair big thing of it, like getting like your debts paid off and all that sort of stuff, but also in a way that you get to enjoy life a little bit more than the average Joe that works 5 days a week or whatever. So so she mainly focuses on the semi-retirement side of things, and then we do obviously a little bit different, where we sort of work a big stint 4 or 5 months of the year, like knuckle down, and then we have like 6 or 7 months of travel. So so she just want to interview us and about how we do our side of semi-retirement sort of thing.
I found it a really good read. For anybody watching this, I think if you could go find it, and I'll put some details in my descriptions on the
our whole blog is really interesting.
Really interesting. I found it fascinating.
It goes from lots of different angles too. Like like she said to us, she's not like into caravanning and stuff like that. So it was like a different sort of thing for her talking to us, but then like us reading it and seeing like other people, the way they're setting themselves up and doing it is pretty cool. So
yeah, it's good.
Mm.
Yeah, it was well written.
So would you describe you guys, you sort of said something in between, I think, Kelly. So you guys, you're not really retired, but you're not semi-retired. You're like a hybrid. So how would you just, what are you guys? You're kind of semi-retired, retired nomad.
Trying to work out how we can work as little as possible and still live comfortably.
Yeah, we don't
still travel.
we don't stick to a budget as so. Like we keep track of all our finances, our spending, but we just still live like a fairly similar life to what we did before. But then we just keep track of everything, so we know how much we have to earn every year to continue the path, sort of thing. So we sort of
somewhere hybrid-y,
semi-retired.
Yeah,
we still have to make like 50, 60 grand a year to sort of keep just like the plateau going. And I know people do it like a lot more frugal, and then people with families, obviously it's sometimes a little bit harder. But both of us seem to, this is our second year now, and we're sort of getting into more of a routine where we know what we have to do, and in next 2 or 3 years we'll have it pretty much dialed in that we can just knuckle down for 4 or 5 months, earn as much money as we can, and we can both work at the same time, and then we're good to go. Semi-retirement. A lot of crew do it. There's a lot more people we meet on the road now doing it. A lot of families as well from over east, that
so many.
I mean, a lot of people were sort of struck pretty hard over east with all the lockdowns, and
the second they could get out
couldn't do their FIFO jobs or whatever, and they were sort of stuck in Victoria and stuff, bits and pieces like that. And then when we've been up in the Pilbara, there all these tradies and truck drivers and whatever have thought, well, this is where the work is. In WA, we're pretty lucky here, where there's a lot of if you want to earn good money, like pretty easy, you can do it. And so they've all moved their family, like doing the travel thing at the same time while making money. So there's a lot of people doing it now, and I think it's becoming a bit more of a normal thing in some sort of way, that people are now, like with all these blogs and podcasts and stuff, it's more of people can find one that sort of suits them and sort of learn off them and then take that path. And it's pretty good, I think.
And then apply it to what suits. So you just touched on the Pilbara. I think, and I didn't binge on your channel when I stumbled across it, but my wife was actually interstate looking after a mother who's quite ill, and I was flying solo for about a week, so I did binge on YouTube a lot.
Well, that's a lot of listening to him dribble.
It wasn't. Jed, so Kelly, it wasn't only you guys, but you guys did. Well,
that's good.
That's good.
But in saying that, I think when I actually did stumble across Old Mate, I would have watched. I wouldn't even hazard a guess. There was a lot of episodes back to back, and it was you guys up in the Pilbara, and then I stumbled across some videos. I might have jumped a couple, then you're back down south again. So have I got this right? That you guys, I guess this now makes a bit of sense listening to what you said before. You started in the south, then you went north, then you came south, then you went north again, and you come south again. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
So it's twice.
Yeah.
And then
so when we left in September, we went up to Kununurra and back. Did like 6 weeks, I think it was.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. So it was our sort of recce run with the van. We thought, let's just send it.
Yeah.
So I went up there, went barra fishing, did all that, then made our way back home to be home for Christmas with the family. Did a farm sit in January of last year, out towards the wheat belt from here.
Yeah.
And then sort of had like a little bit of time to regroup at home and headed up to the Pilbara to work. So that was always our plan, was to sort of be up in the Pilbara for the winter, chase the sun, chase some decent weather, and chase some money, I guess. Cash up and get ourselves set up for the following 12 months.
Yeah.
And
we find like
sorry.
Yeah. We find like the Pilbara is like the easy sort of while we're sort of learning and trying to get our feet on like a routine. like it's too easy to go back to, because you can earn good money quickly.
So much work.
So you can do big hours, heaps of hours. Like we were sometimes doing 80 odd hours a week, back to back weeks. Yeah. So you can if you want to, you can work hard, you can make big money, and you can get in and out like as quick as you can, sort of thing, So, but if we've done jobs in the past, like in Canada and stuff, where you're earning like $10 an hour, and then you have, like, it's a lifestyle job, so you don't bring any spare change home, but it's good fun while you're doing it. Where this is kind of the opposite, where the work's hard and it's hot and it's and it's long hours, but you've got a little.
It's worth it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, in 3 months' time, like I'm good again for like 7 months, so it's pretty good. Yeah.
I'm going to touch on that a bit further on. But I've got to ask the question: do you guys have any intentions? And again, I think I know the answer to this, because you guys sat down and actually did an episode where you were sitting you might have been having a cup of tea or a beer, and you talked about your year. But do you have any intentions? Have things changed? Are you going to go east at all? Are you going to stick to WA?
I think definitely. Yeah.
But it probably won't be till next year.
Yeah.
So we've sort of got this year already planned out with going back up to our jobs in Headland, and then Jed's old job down here, they've got a big shutdown at the end of the year, which is a couple of months' work that he's going to come back for. Like, we're going to be back down here for. And then our friend that's in Japan has invited us back over for the winter to help her out at a breakfast. So so that's the big thing this year now, is the work towards make enough money over the next sort of 6 months to be able to afford that and go and spend 3 months in the snow. And
we get living for free over there, so sort of like she supplies us board and keep sort of thing, and we just help her out. So that's pretty good.
But it'll be next year.
Yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, we don't really have plans. Like, everyone asks us that. It's kind of funny. They're like, oh, how many laps have you done or anything? We're like, nah, well, we're not really doing the whole lap thing, but eventually, the lap thing, yeah. And people will sort of look at us a bit sideways, like, oh, what do you mean? Yeah,
what are you doing then?
Well, why are you doing it this way? But yeah, like we've travelled, we've briefly been around Australia, but there's so much stuff that I want to see, and like, we haven't been to Tasmania, or we skipped a lot of the east coast because we're going up to a station job, and that came up like really quickly. So like Fraser Island and all that sort of coast, I'd love to go and go back to the station where we work. It's just unreal, fishing and camping, just untouched. Like,
wow.
But Northern Territory, there's just so many places. I wouldn't mind sort of going just to like one state for like a couple of months and just doing like as much as we can, like in South Australia. And then come back. Like, even like we see so many people. Like, even we're chatting to some nomads in Shane's Beach, and like they were doing their like life trip, and it was 8 weeks from Victoria, and they were sort of telling me their sort of lap. I'm like, holy crap! Like, they'd be doing like, stop one night, drive 400 k's, stop one night, drive, and then I was thinking, this is not us, like, just so much moving and going, and we like to sort of kick back and relax, for a week, or at least 4 or 5 nights in each spot we go to. So, so everyone's got a different way of traveling, 100%, which is cool. Yeah, like, everyone's got their different setups, and
they're still getting out and seeing it, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. But
yeah, being stuck behind a desk.
And you sort of like, I feel like you just don't really appreciate a place if you get there for one day and then go again. Like,
with how many times do you go somewhere for like a week and you have 3 days of good weather and 3 days of crap weather, and you imagine like you just rock up on one of those crappy days and you're like, oh, this place sucks. But then you go, if you were there yesterday, it was amazing.
Should have been there yesterday. That's surface.
Always.
That's a surface favourite saying. Well, you should have been here yesterday. It was 6 to 8 foot and classy.
We get that with the wind. Everywhere we go, it's bloody windy. And they're like, oh, last week was bloody. It's amazing. All the time.
So going back up north. So Jed, what kind of work do you do up north? And Kelly, what sort of work do you do up north while Jed's doing his thing? What are you doing?
So I'm a mechanical fitter, fixed plant fitter by trade. So I've worked on mining like my whole life pretty much. And
big machinery.
Yeah, like crushers and screens, and yeah, I've worked in iron ore, gold, diamond mines, nickel mines, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just contract to a contract company that they do an endless shutdown with BHP.
Yeah.
So it works out good because we've only got the one car, and so I can just travel to and from site. It's only 20 k's away from where a caravan park where we stay at,
And where I work.
yeah, and then because I'm classed as like a local when I'm up there, I get extra work and bits and pieces, and everyone's screaming out for tradesmen at the moment, so it's quite easy to find work
Okay.
and get it. Yeah.
And
So
then
what have
I
you
fell
felt?
into the job at the caravan park in the office there, when we were securing our site in February of last year. Rang up to, put it down the credit card deposit and all that sort of stuff to secure a site. And the lady I was talking to mentioned that she was going off on 3 months travels herself. She lives in a caravan at the park as well. And her husband were off on their big yearly trip with their caravan club and that. So I was like, well, I'm going to be looking for work. So, and yeah, it was literally emailed a resume, got an email back saying, what date can you be here?
Wow.
Because there's just so much work up there. So it worked out awesome for us because, yeah, like Jed said, we only have the one car. So I can walk to work. And yeah, while he drives. And so I ended up, in the office there. And a bit of housekeeping and stuff, but mainly, reception there, and got an awesome little team there. That, really looking forward to getting back and spending another season up there with them.
And they're going to hold the job open for you.
Yeah, so the thing is, because of Headland and the Pilbara being what it is, like when we left at the start of October, it's their off season because it's so hot and all the rest. So the tourists don't really pick up again until sort of May anyway. So although the caravan park we work at has got accommodation, and it's a lot of like mining accommodation and stuff, there's 3 girls plus myself in the office. So it sort of works out that I can then come in for winter to pick up like the tourist and the busier time. And then they don't have to worry about trying to hire new staff because they don't really need them over the summer when it's hot and not as busy. So it's worked really well for them as it has for us. So, and we've made some really good friends there. So it's actually really good to get back up there and
accommodation is expensive up there anyway, even in the caravan park site. So with Kel working in the caravan park, we get our site for free.
Oh wow!
And we get a little ensuite sort of shower, laundry, bathroom sort of area next to our van. So yeah, that works out great. So that saves us a heap of money. We virtually get free accommodation while we're there, which is for most people up in the Pilbara. If anyone's lived up there, knows that that's the biggest expense, So yeah, it works out good. Works out pretty good. And we're only up there we pretty much follow like an endless summer most of the time. So
try.
Yeah, not today.
Not today, as we're sitting here in jumpers and socks. And
my wife's inside with a jumper on and socks on. That's funny. I'm outside. It's beautiful. But anyway, it is going to rain here this Savo. So you guys, and again, Jed, you and I have spoken by messenger. So what I understand is that, Jed, you're from Bunno or that area, Bunbury, but you've also mentioned Burracup. Now, I've actually got family that my nephew had a small farm out at Burracup. He's just recently sold it.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
And my 2 brothers and my sister my 2 brothers one lives in Australind, and another one lives in Donnybrook, and my sister lives in Bustle.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
You could be virtually classed as a local here.
Locals.
Well, I was born in Bunbury. So our whole family's from Bunbury. So Jed, are you born and bred, Jed and Kelly? Are you both born and bred Bunnos?
No, I'm a born Pilbara boy. I was born in Newman.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. My olds lived up there. Dad was a face shovel operator back in the day in the late 70s and early 80s. So and then we moved down to Burracup, and they've been in the same house ever since. So I was maybe 2 years, 1.5. Yeah,
just about 2.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, so the house that his parents bought was right next door to the house that my parents were living in,
right over there,
which is literally next door at the time, while Mum was pregnant with me. And so they arrived in the December, and I arrived in the January, and Jed and I met like when I was a baby, and great family friends all through life. And yeah, sort of got to the end of our teens and went, oh, actually kind of like you a bit more than that. So
you guys are childhood sweethearts.
Cue the delivery banjo.
No, sorry,
yeah.
We just got a lag there. So you guys are childhood sweethearts.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah, I was 17 and Jed was 19 when we actually got together. So, but yeah, we'd been friends our whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, great family mates. And yeah, just my mum and Jed's dad had decided years ago. They kept telling us, "Oh yeah, you guys are going to get married one day," and we're like, no. And then it happened.
Do you know what? So I don't know if you guys have watched any other interviews I've had, but so you guys are now. So you're the fifth couple that I've interviewed, that are childhood sweethearts. So in racing terms, they call it the trifecta of Quinella. I don't know what 5 is, but
what's 5? I don't know.
I don't know.
Miracle.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed getting to know Jed and Kelly, and if their journey to become nomads hasn't inspired you, then I don't think anybody can. Make sure you watch the next episode because there's a lot more to learn about Jed and Kelly and Old Mate Adventures. Thank you and bye for now. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell. We're root for now.